Welcome, paper gardeners. Welcome to April 2021. This month, we're going to be making some really pretty, the quintessential springtime flower. We're going to be doing some sweet peas. And I've done some here. I've done some purple ones with the little pan pastels on them. And I've done some pink ones with pen pastels on them. You don't need to add the pen pastel, but if you want to add some dimension to your flower, that's just a super way to do it. And here I've got a really thin tendril on it, and here I've done some a little bit bigger. So the supplies that we're going to need for this course for this project are some crepe paper. I'm using 90 gram. This is a white 90 gram from Technique Rossi. Excuse me, I got a dry throat there. A little bit of green, 90 gram, which I use for my as my crepe tape. We're gonna need a little doublet. This is green tea and moss, and you can see I just got some moisture on it. Green tea and moss, and I think this green tea is really pretty for the leaves on that flower. And then and of course we're gonna need some wires. So let's talk about that. I have some really thin, I think these are a 30 gauge wire that I'm going to be using. And then we're gonna need something that's a little bit, excuse me, I've got allergies so bad. And then we're gonna add this one that we're gonna use for our stems, and it's a 22, I believe. So those are the wires we're gonna need. We're gonna need some handy dandy wire cutters, our scissors, some glue, some stick glue, and if you have it, a brayer. It's not mandatory. And also not mandatory, optional, is some pen pastel. And I'm using this, it's called bright yellow green. You can see these are the colors I use most often. Bright yellow green is perfect for the white sweet pea. So we're gonna come back and we're gonna dive right in. Hello, my paper friends. So we are back. We're going to start cutting a little bit of paper here, and I've already started. So I've got a piece of doublet here that is about 6 inches wide. I cut off a strip of it. We're going to cut off another one. And we're going to use these as to create our pea pod. Okay, let's set those aside. And then I'm going to cut the piece that's going to go around the pea pod, which is going to be pretty small. And I've cut this strip ahead, and it is a little over 1 inch tall. That should be enough for those. And then I already cut these. This is for our next set of petals, and it's about 1.5 inches tall. And then our last petals, we're going to have to cut a few more of these. This is going to be close to 2 inches tall. So I think I'll cut one more of this size and one more of that size. Let's go 2 inches. Okay, so that should get us started. So we're going to take our wire, and this is a really light gauge wire. Use the finest gauge that you can handle. And I'm going to cut it into just random pieces. Look, this one's going to get 4, and then I would do another one with 3. And we're going to take our crepe tape and just stretch it out, just tear off some pieces about, what is this? About 6 inches long is going to be plenty. And that piece here, that piece is already stretched out. So stretch it out, give it a really good stretch without tearing it. I'm just amazed at how much stretch this paper has. And I'm going to go about 6 inches here, and that'll get us started. So we've got a couple of those. So to wrap our stems, I'm going to take one of these pieces, and I'm going to use my needle nose pliers, and I'm just going to fold it over once and have a little loop on there like that. Okay, so we're going to take our little crepey tapey pieces, and we're going to get this part started before we start cutting out our petals. Just kind of gives it a chance to catch up. My hands are so dry. I don't know why the weather's so dry. Okay, so we're just going to create a little like Q-tip on here. Okay, and I'm just going to take this down just a little bit, just to give us something to make sure it's holding on, it doesn't fly off. Then we're going to take our pliers and we're just going to flatten this. Okay, do another one. Fold it over. Let's get a little loop there. And then just roll your paper onto that. And we're going to create what looks like a very small Q-tip at the center of peony, of the sweet pea. Just gonna tear that off. Get that on there neater. There we go. And then we're going to take one more, and I'll just go ahead and, I'm not going to show you all of them. Oops. Fold it over and then wrap it. This paper, when it's fully stretched out, is really fine, almost like tissue paper, uncoated tissue paper, which it may be. I'm not sure. There. Okay, I'm just going to set that aside. Just do the 3 for now. Okay, so now we're going to cut our petals while we're letting this dry. And don't forget to take your pliers and just flatten that out. Make sure they're all flattened out here. Yeah. Okay, there's 3 of them. So we're going to cut the rest of our petals. So the first ones are basically what just covers the pea pod. So it's about 1.25 inches tall, and I think it's going to be about 1 inch wide, maybe. And I'm going to cut 2 at a time. I know I normally cut 3 at a time, but for this petal, this works the best, I think. Okay, so there's 1. And 2. And we have not stretched this paper out at all yet. Okay. I'll just go ahead and do a few more. I know this is really too wide, but I'm just going to cut it right. It's just a piece that I have left here. Okay. Then on this second one, it's going to be exactly the same. This one is about 1.5 inches tall. And it's going to be pretty wide as well. And it's about 1 inch wide. So the width on it's pretty much the same. Yep. I'll go ahead. Yeah, I'm just going to do 2. I think 2 works better with this paper. That's good. That's going to work. Okay. Let's just do one more set here. I'm hoping to make about 12 petals, and I'm sorry, 12 flowers. I think odd numbers always look best in nature. I think 3, 5, 7 are pretty. It makes it just more pleasing to the eye. Okay, so I'm going to just stop there, and then I'm going to do these big ones. And these, again, are going to be really wide. This piece feels like it's stretched a little bit, but maybe not. We're going to make this one it's 2 inches tall. It's going to be about 1.25 inches wide. And we'll cut 2 of them at a time. And again, this is just our same basic modified teardrop that we use for every, it seems like every flower. Okay, so you got it just like that. And we'll do another one here. So you need 1 of these per flower. You need 2 of these wing pieces per flower. And we will be including templates in along with this video. I'll try to put a link to it down in the comments tab. Okay, so we're so good so far. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start shaping these petals just a little bit. So I'm going to start with the wings, and this is what we're going to do first. And we're going to take them and we're going to trim these down. These will be trimmed down for sure. And to get it, it's going to wrap around the pea pod. And don't get too concerned about the shape at this point, because we are going to trim these down. It's just easier to do it big and then come in and trim it than it is to try to work with that little itty bitty piece. Do one more. Okay, and we're just going to lay this, and you'll see when you do this that there's a flat side and a not so flat side. And we're just going to lay this down so that the bottom, I think this side's good, it just comes even. And then pull this around. Just pinch these together. Okay, now we're going to just trim this down so it's more in the shape of a pea pod. And I'll do another one. Lie right down, and then pull these. Oops, there we go. This is sitting in here, funny shape. There we go. There. Okay, so pull that around and just pull them together. And we're going to cut this down a little too. There. Make your pea pod. We've got one more. And the reason I put the line of glue up the middle of this is that it's really easy just to take it and set it down and then pull the pieces together. And trim this down. Okay. Okay, we're going to set those aside. We'll come back and do more of those later. And the first thing we're going to do right now is to add a little bit of color to some of these petals before we start shaping them. And these are going to be the wing petals. And you just want to put ever so slight, just a little touch on both sides of the petal. You don't want to necessarily see it as green. It's just going to be, so we're going to make 3, so I'll do 6 of these. And I really like these blender brushes. You've probably seen me use them before. Let's see what we got. Isn't it funny how you always see ones you like better than others? Okay. Flip them over. And, okay, there we go. Set those aside. We're going to do the same thing with the final petals. We're just going to, now you don't have to do this now. You could conceivably come back in and do your coloring after you put your bloom together. But I would say only on the white when you're doing the green, you know, with green. The reason for that is when you're doing, like when I did my purple ones, it's really prominent. I'll show you. See, you can see there's a lot. So I put a lot more color on it than I did the white. Okay. And another thing we're going to do before we get too far on these, because I want to get this set, is I'm going to take a little line of glue, just about 1/4 inch tall, and we're going to create a little dart in here. And open it back up. So you've got just a little pleat. Actually, I think I want to put a little more of a pleat in there, and maybe up a little higher. This is going to help with the way that the petal will sit on the bloom. Okay, and then we'll just let that dry a little. I think I'm going to put it together and let it dry. There we go. Just same thing here. And we're going to put it together. Do the same thing here. Create a little dart. I want this to be a little longer here. Let's try up and down a little bit. There we go. Ta-da. Okay, we're just going to set those aside for a minute. Okay, so we're going to shape these. Well, before we do that, we're going to, while we still have our pan pastel out, let me get my brush. We are going to cover these little pea pod pieces. Some of these are a little big. I think I'm going to cut these down a little bit. Make them just a little bit shorter. Okay. Then we're going to color it. Same thing here, a little tall. Cut it down a little bit. Remember, this is your pea pod, not my pea pod. So adjust your petal sizes based on the paper that you're going to use. If you're going to use doublet or extra fine, you're probably going to have to do a little bit of adjustment because they just don't, those papers don't stretch quite as much as this one, this 90 gram does. And while I'm here, I want to clean up my space a little. Alcohol is what I keep on my desk. There we go. Just because I don't want that color going everywhere, and I want to get it off my fingers too. If I can. And I got glue on my fingers, so let's see if we can get that off at the same time. I don't know about you, but I always end up with glue everywhere. Okay, so we're going to take our wing petals, and we're going to create the 2 wings on either side of the sweet pea. And one of the things that I like to do is just put a little divot in here, just a little roughly cut on the inside of each petal. And then we're going to pull this down, and we're going to ruffle this. There we go. And I've got a curling tool that I'm going to use. And this is an 8 gauge wire. You could use anything you have that you like to use to curl. You could use a dowel. You could use the back of your scissors. You know, whatever makes you happy. We're just going to take this one and we're going to fold this in. Create that fold in there. And then I want this side to come back. And then I still want these ruffles in there to show. So there's one side, and then here's the other side. And you're just going to cut, we're just cupping the very top of this, and we're finishing off the stretch by ruffling the top. So we're going to do the same thing here that we did over there. And we're going to take this in. Okay, so we've got these two. I'm going to take a little glue up about 1/2 to 3/4 of the petal, and I'm going to place these on top of each other. Okay, there's one set. Let's do another one. Come on, I know I did one more of these. Yikes. Oh yeah, okay. No, yeah, I'm missing one. I have to do one more. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to go on what would be the inside of the petal, or the side closest to the pea pod, and just create a couple little interesting pieces there. We're going to stretch that out, cup it, stretch the top, create the ruffles, come in with our curling tool. We're just going to create more movement in this. I'm going to come back into this one. Move this out of the way. We're going to do the same thing. Oh, I guess I cut this one. Then is this one to cut? No. Okay, I'm losing my mind. Maybe I didn't cut it at all. Okay, we're just going to create, well, maybe I did on here, but it needs a little more. Just create a little interest there. So this one we're going to pull down. We're going to pull it to stretch it. Create those ruffles. Use our curling tool to bring this in. Oops. And bring this one back. It's going to create a little more movement in our sweet pea. And we're going to do the same thing here. Put a little glue. And then overlap each other. And I just, let's see, I've got, I don't know how I lost a petal, but I guess I did. There's always a little bit of color left on your brush that you can come in and add in. So I'm going to cut that little one here. You can see what I'm doing is I'm just cutting in some little ripples in there. Pull it down. Create a big cup there. Then we're going to just stretch these out ever so slightly in between your thumb and your forefinger, and it creates those really pretty ruffles. So I want to create as much movement in this bloom as I can get. So I'm going to have to do this one too. Okay, we're going to do the same thing that we did. We're going to cut. So you're just going to cut one side, and that side's going to be where the two petals come together. So we're going to stretch this way and create some ruffly edges. Okay, curling tool. Then we're going to put these two together. It looks like I could do some more curling here. A little more cupping too. And we're going to add a little glue here. And see what happens is we've got this laying over on the side up here. So there's those. We're going to come back to these large petals that we did, and they stuck together pretty well now. And we're going to go ahead and stretch these out just along the top like we did just like we did on the wing petals. And we're going to create some interest here by stretching out the top. So it's like that. It doesn't look that good yet. And at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some pleats. That's what we're looking for. The word pleats, okay? And then we're just going to basically gather this up. And just, still wonky. We're not going to, just, this bigger petal, this last petal is just a little more techniques on it. And so we're just going to do the same thing here, stretch. See, I don't have my pleat in there very well. Stretch. And we'll create some stretchy action up here at the top. And we're going to pleat this a little bit on the bottom. Just create some little pleats there. Just pinch it. Same thing at the last one. Another fun thing to do is up here where your pleat is, close that back up a little bit, and just pull it together and create, easy for me to say, I can't get it to stay. There we go. Get my fingers out of the way and just create a little curl, little divot, if you will. And it really does help with shaping your petal. Okay, so we're just going to set those down while we work on the other pieces. And by then, these will be dry. And I'm going to come in and just really gather that up and let them dry that way. There we go. So we're going to start applying these little puppies. And you can, if you want to do more curling on them, you can do so. And we're going to basically pleat these a little too. So I'm just going to come in here and just bring this together a little bit at the very bottom. Okay. Okay. You see, it's just a little gathered on the bottom. And we're going to take our glue. We're going to place this right in the center and bring it around. More. I'm going to give it a little more shape too. So I'm going to bring it down and up. There's the first petal. Let's do the next one. I'm going to shape it a little bit before I put it on. Gather it up here a little bit. Put some glue in here. And what I do with these is I just bend them a little bit forward. So I'm kind of going at an angle with this. Just lays right in there. And don't have a glue. There we go. Didn't have very good adhesion there. There, set that aside. We'll do one more. Maybe a little more stretch here. More curling action. Just creates a little bit of movement. I want to kind of pinch this together a little bit, just so you have something to a little bit smaller than what it is. And then we're going to put some glue on there. Take our little pea pod and we're going to bend it down about a 45-degree angle. And then we're going to attach our, oops, maybe. I'm going to put a glue on there. Attach our pea pod, our petals to our pod. And there, pinch that down. Okay. So we're going to let those, there we go, stuck to my finger. Let those relax for just a moment while we work on the big petals here. Okay, so this one, I did create that little interest in there. We're going to stretch it out some more. And I like to have some of them open and furled back. So I'm going to create some furling action there. Maybe I'll let those come in. And then I'm going to kind of reverse cup this a little bit just to create a little diversion there. And you know, this is kind of, I don't like the shape of this, so I'm going to come in here and round this off a little bit. There. That one's fine. Okay, now we're going to just take this. It's all nice and pleated and everything. We're going to shape this a lot more once we get it in there. So I'm just going to put some glue in there. Take our little piece and wrap that around there. Bring this down. And you can see that it really does need some shaping. So we're going to just shape this way. Give it a little curl on the top. Just make sure that you bring this back in. You want to keep this coming around the petal at the very bottom. Without sticking your fingers to it like I just did. You want to bring it down a little bit. Okay. So there we have one completed bloom. We can come in and shape it some more too if we want. It's a nice start. Let's try another one. And I'm going to take and put that little divot in there. There we go. Bring it, so we want to cup it along the bottom. First, cup it a little on the top. And make sure we get those little ruffles in there. Okay, whoops, got too many scraps laying around. I'm going to take this one, this one's going to come around and open up. And again, I've got a little wide wing there. I don't really want that quite so wide. So bring it down. And this is just personal preference of the shape of the petal. Okay. And we're going to curl it from here, from underneath. Let's try this one. And every flower is going to be a little different. This reminds me of a snapdragon. And I want this to come down and around. So I'm going to put a little drop of glue right inside here and pull this down. There. Same thing here. And then pull it down. We'll do one more. Here we go. Let's take this one and give it that little divot. I don't know what else to call it. It's a little V-cut, a little notch, if you will. And I know I'm not going to like the shape of this petal, so I'm going to just round that off a little more. And I think I might just do it here too. There we go. Just round it off. Okay. Create our ruffles. We're going to cup it a lot at the bottom. We're going to create some action here. Just creating a real big cup there. This one's going to wrap all the way around the bloom. Take our last one. Wrap it around. But I didn't get it in there quite like I wanted it to. There we go. Bring it around. See how that's flipping out there? I'll just fix that. A little hair action. I want this one to come down here too. There. So all of these are going to be different on the bloom. Some of them are going to be more open than others. This one could have been shaped a little bit better, but it's okay. And there we go. So let's go ahead and do a few more. You do yours, I'll do mine. You do you, I'll do me. And we'll come back and we will put the stem together. Okay, so welcome back. So I've made a bunch of them here. And excuse me, sorry for my voice. We're going to do a couple of those little buds. They would be like, here's the one I did before. Just these little bud pieces. So I'm going to show you how to do a couple of those. So I've got a piece of crepe here that's about 1 3/4 inches. And I'm going to just cut the petals the way we did before. Okay. And let's see if I can bring this back in here and give you a little more info on it. Whoops, they're all falling over. They are grasping onto each other. Okay, so we're going to start with this little one up here, and you can see it only has one petal on it. And so I'm going to take a piece of this crepe, and I'm going to basically do this same kind of shaping that we did before. And we're going to shape it by turning it out a little bit on the edges. There we go. Get a little more stretch. Then I want to add some color to this before we actually put it on the petal. And it's going to color, it's going to have a lot more color on it than the other ones did. We're going to basically take that yellow green color all the way up to the top. Okay, and we're going to just continue to furl that. And we want to bring it around a little. And where's my glue? Here we go. Add a little glue on here. There we go. And we are going to basically create a little pleat down there so that it's more open. After we do that pleat, then we're going to come in and wrap it around our pod. And we're going to have to do a little work here just to get it there around the pod. And then we want to just fool with it a little bit here. I'm going to add just a little more glue right in here because I want it to actually come all the way around the pod. There we go. And then we can come in and give it a little more shape. So you just basically want, this is what it looks like from the side. You basically just want it to look like it's just starting to open. I really want to put more glue on there, but I don't think we're going to. Okay, so there's that little bitty one. And the next one we're going to do is we're going to create a bigger pod on this one, because everything's going to kind of come from that pod. So I'm going to take another piece of this paper, and we're going to take our, let's see, I think I've got one here. Yeah, I've got another one of this slipper. Oh, this might actually be big enough. I think that is going to be fine, big enough. Okay, so we're going to create that little more open petal. Same thing we did a moment ago. First thing we do is want to give it a little furling, a little ruffling. Give it a good little stretch to it. And it's very similar to the one we just did, but I'm going to open it up just a little more. And before I put that on, let me take another piece of our crepe here. Give it a little bit of a stretch. Fold it in half, so we have a little itty bitty piece here. Okay. And again, we want to give these some color, so let's just put the color on it now. And these are going to be the wings. So it's going to look like it's just starting to open. Shaping tool. Give it a little shape here. Same thing here. Open it up just a little bit. Cup it a touch. And shape it. So these are kind of mini petals, if you will. And I'm going to glue these together right up the spine. This would be where they would both come together. We're going to overlap them quite a bit. And then after we've done that, we're going to add this to our pea pod. So we're just going from a little bitty bud to starting to open up. And then we want to put a little color on this one, on the all over, especially coming up the back. Okay. Let's put a little pleat down here. Just to make it fit a little bit better. Again, we're going to furl this around. To just come around, close onto that petal. Give it a little glue action. And bring it in there. Maybe give it just a little twist there. So there's another one that's just starting to open a little bit. And I think I want to add a little more green out here. There. Okay, so we made a ton of these flowers. And so I have all of these, and I have a few more over here. And I'm going to start, we're going to put the calyx on there. So I have just a random piece of the 90 gram that we have, and we're going to create a couple of, actually I'm going to give this a little stretch first. we're going to create the calyx. And the calyx on these are really delicate. Can you see that okay? And so we're going to take this little piece. It's about 3/4 of an inch wide. And we're just going to create those little bitty create the calyx. It's all one piece. Okay, it could be a little neater. If you find that you have some that aren't really pointy, come back in and fix that. We're going to just give this a furl. Same thing here. And I'm going to grab one of my flowers. Oops, this one already has it on there. Grab one over here. And we just want to kind of want to wrap this around. So there they have, it's just starting to emerge from there. Do the next one. Some glue on it. Oh. Here we go. There's another one. I'm going to do the same thing. Wrap this around. And then this goes around too. There. I just think it's really sweet the way those do that. So I'll go ahead and do mine and you do yours. And then when we come back, I'm going to show you how to do some of the leaves. Okay, so we're back. So I'm going to show you how to finish off the stems, how to make the little tendrils that come off. These are just really skinny little tendrils. These are a little bit bigger tendrils off of here. So I'm going to show you how to do those little bit bigger ones. I think they're kind of cool. So I have a couple of really fine gauge. I think it's probably 26, 30, maybe 30 gauge wire. And this one I'm going to use the whole piece or most of the piece. And I think I'll cut it down just a little, just a few inches off of it. Save that for another project. And I'm going to use my crepe tape. Now let's put that away. I don't know about you, but when I am making flowers, they're everywhere. So there's our tape, just way more than we're going to need. So I'm going to just whack it off. We'll add a little bit of glue dots along the way. There we go. Grab our wire. And your hands, it helps if your hands have just a little moisture on them, certainly not wet. Now when I'm wrapping this, I'm pulling this way down. And the reason for that is that I want it to be as thin. I want to keep this wire as thin as possible. So I don't want to like keep rolling I don't want to put the paper tape this way to get thick, right? So I want this to go a little further down and it goes on. A little smoother. Just tear it off at the end. Not going to need that, but my scrap pile. So we're going to take this, and this is where your handy dandy pencil is going to come into play. So I'm just going to grab them. I just have a mechanical pencil, and I'm just going to take my finger and press it down, and then just roll it. And you can roll it as tight or as loose as you want. I usually roll it pretty tight, and then I'll give it a stretch when it's done. See, like this, and then I'll just take it and stretch it out. That's kind of cool. Then I'm going to grab another one, and I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to do a couple shorter ones. Grab my crepe tape. I actually have a piece here. I'll just, probably gonna need about, let's see if I can get away with, yeah, I could probably just cut this piece in half. Do the same thing. And you can see this one doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but that's okay because we're going to roll it, and we need, something to anchor it onto the stalk. So, and then we're going to leave about 1.5 inches or so. Same thing, stretch it out, and we'll do this last one. I like to put 2 or 3 of them on a stem. So I think I have enough flowers here for a couple of stems, so maybe I'll do a few more. Here we go. Yeah, moisture. There we go. There we go. I have a hard time getting that started. Take off the excess, and then we'll roll it. Same thing. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to finish off these stems. So I'm going to take one of these. Here's all my flowers. And I've made, like I said, I've made a bunch. I've even attached a couple of the curlicues, tendrils on it. I'm going to need a little more paper here. So we want to wrap our flowers. So we're probably just going to need a couple of pieces of tape. I don't even need this much on each one. That's probably not good enough. Okay. I did one of them really long, but this is a long stem here. And you don't have to cover the whole thing, but I'll show you. Okay, so we're just going to grab one, take it right up under the flower, and just start rolling it on there. And again, we want this to be really fine. Okay, now I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to put a tendril on this one. So I'm going to take one of these short ones, grab a piece of crepe tape. So where I'll take this longer piece. And the flowers are going to bend out just a little. So I'm just going to take this so it comes out of the edge, out of the bottom, basically, of the bloom. See if I can get that under there. There we go. And again, it needs to be really thin. And then we're just going to kind of randomly go through these. I'm going to kind of sort these in size as we go along here. Let's add another tendril here. Just want to cut some more of this tape. I'm going to cut, and yeah, I usually have little strips of this on my table because we're going to use this to wrap the stem as well. And I maybe work a little bit faster than you do. So when you're loading up your tape or any of your paper, only put glue on what you can wrap in maybe a minute or so, a couple of minutes anyway, because you don't want that tape to, or the glue to dry and then not stick. That would be a bummer. And when we put this all together, we'll kind of fiddle with these a little more. Oops, tore my tape. I've got glue on my fingers, so it's kind of sticking to my fingers. Oh, and I'm going to add that last tendril here onto one of these big furls. Maybe this one. Grab the tendril. So just keep wrapping your flowers, and we will come back and do the leaves. When we're done with these. Actually, I'm almost done here, so we'll just stay together for a couple more minutes, and we'll jump right into the leaves. What have I got? This one's already done. This one's already done, so I've got 3 more to do, so we're almost done. Let's just do them. So we're doing all this so we can start assembling our bloom, our stem. And there's lots of little moving parts in here. Got my medium one. And this one is as well. So I've got it so that the bigger petals, the bigger flowers are down here, and then the smaller ones are up there. This is about medium. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna set this aside for a minute, and we're gonna do some leaves. So I took, let me grab it. This is a piece of green tea and moss, I think it's called. This is Leah's Crepe doublet. And I'm just going to fold over a piece about 2.5 inches. Okay, and then I'm going to cut each one of these in about 2.5 inches. Yeah, now let's make it 2. 2 inches would be plenty. Okay. This one side. Okay, so we're going to laminate this doublet. And for this, I'm going to use my handy dandy glue stick. And I'm only going to apply glue to one side of this. Piece of doublet, fold it in half. Give it a good stretch, because we're not going to need any more stretch out of it. And then I'm going to cut this into 2 pieces. And from there into chevron. This is what we call the chevron technique. And I don't know if you can see this on camera, but the grain on this one is going this way. And the grain on this one is going this way. So I've got enough here for 2 petals. I'm sorry, 2 leaves. And again, I'm going to grab some of my fine gauge wire. Cutters, there we go. And I'm going to cut this just a couple of inches long. You don't need to measure, just cut it. Okay, so we're going to, I'm sure you've done this leaf technique before. Hope so. If not, this is a really important leaf technique to nail down. And once you start doing it, it's going to go pretty quickly. There we go. There we go. And I'm going to sandwich the wire right in there. And if you have a brayer, this is where that comes in. Set this aside. I won't need this in the next moment. And then put a little dab of glue up here. Add your wire. And you don't want to go all the way up to the top, because we're going to trim this down a little bit. Let's do another one just for fun, shall we? You can stretch it now, you can stretch it later, it doesn't really matter. Get my glue stick. You need to get these little side. There we go. Side. And again, this is where a brayer, invest in a brayer. I think you'll find that money definitely well spent. Okay, we do the same thing we did before. Cut it in half. And then cut it in half across the grain. So our chevrons, we've got one going that way, one going that way. We're good. Same thing here. Okay. And we'll just glue this little glue line there. And a glue line here. And again, if you work pretty quickly, you can do this. If you take a few minutes to put your wire in, do them one at a time. But once you get the hang of this, it goes so fast. And my last, I know I have one more wire here. Okay, and because I get glue everywhere all the time, oh, squirt it out everywhere then. Okay, keep this cleaned off. Okay, so let's finish our leaves. I'm going to start with the one we did first. And these, I'm going to cut these so that they're kind of long and narrow with a rounded edge. Because I don't think I've ever seen or paid attention to a sweet pea so much anymore. But it's, you know, it's a pea, right? And I want this edge to be rounded. Make it a little more rounded. Here we go. How simple is that, right? That might be next. And you can free cut this, but there is a template. Let's just go ahead and round this off here while we're at it. Go ahead and cut that. We can round it first. You do it any way that makes you happy. One more. And the leaves are not all going to be the same size. Okay. And you don't need to worry about wrapping these stems because none of this wire is going to end up showing at all. Okay. Okay, so when we come back, we're going to put everything together. I'm just going to clear the decks here a little bit and come back and we'll put together our leaves and our flowers onto the stem. Okay, so welcome back. I think we're done with the brayer. We can put that away. But, so I have my leaves that I made. I have some crepe tape and I have my flowers. And I have here about a 20 to 22 gauge wire that I'm going to use as my stem. And I'm going to cut a little bit off of this because it's just really a little too long. Cut that set aside. Okay, so we are ready to start. So we're going to take some of our crepe tape here, and I'm going to cut it down into manageable sizes. So I'm going to cut this in half. And this is just a random piece of the green 90 gram. And so we're ready to start. Let's do it, okay? I'm going to put a little, we're in the home stretch. Woohoo! I don't know about you, but I always found sweet peas to be just such an intimidating bloom. And you know, I'll say it again, I say it all the time. What appears to be the simplest blooms sometimes are the most difficult. Okay, so I'm just going to start this on my stem, and they'll be out. Make them a little different here. Okay, and I'm going to start wrapping. Okay, and I'm going to intermittently add in I'm going to come down just a little bit further. Intermittently, I'm going to add in some of these leaves. These are kind of close. We'll pull them out and shape them later. And I'm going to grab, I want these to be together. Here, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break from that here and take a smaller piece of tape just to attach these to each other. Okay, that's good. Just to hold them together. That's really all I want to do. Good. Tape will not let go. There we go. Okay, I'm going to take this one. And I'm going to attach this. Let's see. Let's go down just a little further. There we go. And I'm going to attach these two here. And I'm going to go to some of the larger ones. Oh, let's add in a leaf here. Now these leaves, remember when we did these, you can shape these leaves any way you want. That's why we have the wire in there. But the wire is not going to show. We're going to sandwich that in there all the way. And we'll put in some of our other flowers here. And I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to anchor these two together. Just going to take a little piece of tape. Just makes it easier. Just makes them easier to attach if you get them some groupings there. Let's come down a little more. And we'll put in a single one with a tendril on it. So I'm just going to randomly apply these, add these. And I'll put a leaf in there. I'll finish this one off. Now, I think that odd numbers always look better than even numbers. Your eye really likes odd numbers better than even numbers. And then we will come back in and shape some of these a little bit better. These two should go really close to each other. And I'm going to come in and give them a little more. Now you could stop here and you know, I would be inclined to do that because if we're going to put this in an arrangement, by the time we put it into a vase or whatever we're doing, we're going to end up with, you know, stuff down here. So we don't really want that. We want to stick closer to the top. But I think I'm going to add in one more here. And then finish off the stem. Let's get some tape in here. I'm going to stick one more here randomly. Looks like it's kind of naked over here on this side. Put it over there. I'm going to add in a leaf. Got lots of leaves, so we'll add in a couple more. Okay, and we'll just finish off our stem. And it probably, this is still a little tall, I think. Okay, so we're going to pull these out and give them some nice little shapes, organic shapes to them. Okay, and there you have it. And you can come in if you want to, you know, work these a little bit better. And I have to say that this white 190, the texture is really different. And maybe I'm dreaming it, I don't know. But I think that the texture is a little lighter than it is on the pink that I did. So we're just going to give these, we're going to open them up. So that's what they do. This is our final shaping. There we go. So there we have our, I'm going to put a little glue in there because that didn't get in there very tight. I noticed when I pulled on it, it moved a little. We don't want that to happen. So just stick a little glue in there and it'll do its thing. There we go. There we go. So there we have it. We have our stem. And let's just do the other one just for fun, and then I can show you all of the ones that I've done. So we're going to grab another longish piece of crepe tape here. And I got to grab another stem wire, which is this one. There we go. I'm going to cut some of this. And you know what I would do with this piece that's left over? Let's just do it. I'll grab here. I'm going to create another tendril because it, you know, I don't want this to go to waste. This is a little, this wire's a little, what's the word? Stiffer than what I used for the other tendrils, but it'll work fine. And why just throw it away, right? It's going to be a small one, and that's okay. See, just because Mother Nature likes to do funny things. So let's grab this tape I had here earlier. And, it's teeny tiny, isn't it? Here we go. Wrap it in there just like that. Maybe. There. There we go. See, if you tear your tape, roll it back on. And if you need to, you can just put, see, it's kind of a little split there. That's okay. I'm just gonna put a little glue in there. Smooth it out. Make it nice, smooth. There you go. Okay. Okay. Back to this. So we are going to grab, we're doing another piece of crepe tape here. Because this is so long, I'm just going to cut it in half. And keep on going. Okay, I'm just going to grab a drink. There we go. Replenished. Okay, so we are going to start with our littlest one up here. Let's just, and they're all going to be different because they are all different in nature. I don't like the fact that these both have tendrils on them, but I can't change that now, can I? All right, it'll be fine. Let's put in here two that don't. Need to come down a little further. These on together. Let's add in a little leaf. You know, I'm going to put a little glue here because I had that issue with the second one that we did earlier, and I had to come in and glue it. Okay. And they're all good. All of them are going to be like different sizes, so. Come down a little further. There we go. We'll add in a little leaf. Put glue here. Oh, I put that way too high. Put down here. There we go. Okay, we're going to put this one over here. Gonna go, and then our last flower. Go down here. And I got one more leaf. Actually, yeah, let's see if we can get that in there. A little glue right in there. Put this guy in there. Easy for me to say. There we go. And wrap that on. Then we're going to finish it with our last piece of crepe tape. Okay. Come right back up here. And this is a little lighter than I would like it to be, so let's fix that. So I'm just going to take this down. I didn't realize that this was a lighter wire than I used earlier. I'm just going to break that off there. I'm gonna grab another wire. Oh, where's that one? Yeah, see this? That's too light. That's not what I meant to use. See, stuff happens all the time, right? That's too stiff. I'll use this. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's the same. Let's try it. I think this will work if I double them up. So I'm just going to basically double up these wires, give me a little more structure. I've had comments before about my bloopers, and I hear people say all the time, I'm glad you leave in your mistakes, because we don't know that you make mistakes or anybody, you know, makes mistakes. Toward that, so, you know, I know in the Instagram kind of world that we live in, you know, it looks like it's sunshine and roses every day, and that, you know, everything is perfect, and you know, it's not perfect. It doesn't always work out quite like we planned. So I'm just going to take this up here to where that leaf is. I'm going to sandwich this right in there and carry it down. So we're just increasing, giving us a little more structure. Still kind of soft, but it's better than it was. There you have it. Okay, so let's clear the decks one more time, and then I'll come back and we'll recap everything we talked about. Okay, so we're all ready to, we're all done here. So I just wanted to show you, I came in and it grabbed onto there. Let's see what I did here. I got two of them, there we go, tangled up in each other. So this one that we did last, I came in with my curling tool and did a little finesse on them. There we go. And just mess with it. And you can do that too. Give them that opening. These two, I'm going to turn them so that they're facing down, like that. Bring this over here. Should bring it over here. There we go. I mean, if you're like me, you could just fuss with this forever. You know, nothing's ever perfect. So here's the two that we did in class. These are two more that I did in that periwinkle blue that's so pretty. And then here's my first prototype that we did that was pink. And don't these all look pretty together in a little bouquet? I think they do. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I think I'm going to put those all together and maybe put them in my bedroom where I can see them. Because I think sweet peas are just really the sweet little flower. So there you have it. Thanks so much for joining us on the Paper Greenhouse. And we can't wait to see yours. Don't forget, if you enjoy our tutorials, don't forget to like and subscribe in the button down below. And we will put in a link to the templates for you. And we really appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time. So thanks so much for joining us on the Paper Greenhouse.